gave that as my reason. So that's, yeah. So my question to you was simply, when is the conditional false?
The
So you have
conditional of which particular statement? Are we
the,
still talking
okay,
about
so
the all females?
just take a generic formula, P implies Q. So if P, then Q. When is that false? There's only one interpretation in which that's false, which is why I'm asking.
If P then Q? Okay, well, so then I guess what are you attributing to P and Q?
Just propositional variables, just like X, Y, and Z in math.
No. I mean in my statement.
If male, then upregulated SRY gene.
No, so it would be if upregulation of functional SRY gene, then male.
No, you said it was a necessary condition. You're getting it backwards.
Oh,
Can I
okay, so
help?
for sure. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, John.
I would just like take it to be that the SRY gene is just going to be a mechanism, but it's not necessary or sufficient.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, but I think Tony disagrees, which is why I was saying it doesn't feel
Uh,
I mean,
like he
the reason I
agrees.
disagree.
I would
Uh,
just say like the mechanisms. So like everybody has the SF1 gene, right? Everybody has a SOX9 gene, right? But the determiner is going to be based off functionality, not presentation, right? Um, that's why the S or Y gene is not going to be a necessary or sufficient condition, is because you can have somebody with the present S or Y gene but not functional or et cetera, right?
so
Yeah,
then
I
what would
agree
be a
with all of
female?
that. I'm just
So then
saying
what would
that
be a female?
I'm just saying that I don't think there's any gene that you could attribute as being necessary or sufficient to being a male or a female for those
Mhm.
Wait,
reasons.
so John, then how would we know a female? We'd only know by the activation?
Well, I would say that the mechanisms are going to help produce those the developmental organization of male and female, but they themselves do not define the sex. The only way we can define somebody's sex is through the evidence that the mechanism produces. So, take for example, right? The evidence is going to be the ovaries, the testes, the uterus, the penis, the vulva, and all these factors. These are going to be the indicators of the developmental organization produced by those mechanisms. Does that make
Um,
sense?
okay, yeah, but no, that doesn't account for abnormalities.
What do you mean?
Well, because if you're just saying it's just we can only judge it by what is evidenced by the outcome, right? Well, then, you still have the DSDs in which they have different developmental patterns, right?
Well, because
Different
I'm going
structures.
based Well, because I'm only going based off the essence of the underlying reproductive developmental organization that a person is organized towards that category. I'm not going based off a single mechanism that accounts for somebody to be male or female, is because we understand that females can have a present S or Y gene, but non-functional, right? Yet they would
Well,
still be female.
hence why I clarified on either up or down regulated functioning.
Yes, but the
That's
S or
why
Y gene, yes, but the S or Y gene has to work with other genes such as the SOX9 and the SF1 gene in order to actually continue that developmental trajectory towards the male reproductive system. It can't just
right,
be the S or Y
right.
gene
So I
itself.
agree that that they are involved in the chain, but nothing can happen if the SRY gene gets going. Am I incorrect on that?
Yes, you are incorrect because the SOX9 gene
Okay.
can duplicate itself, and the S or Y gene can have a translocation on the X chromosome.
What do you mean a translocation?
Uh, uh, I think it happens within meiosis. I think I'm saying that right. So the
Meiosis, yeah.
meiosis, yeah. So the S or Y gene has been can translocate from the Y chromosome onto the X chromosome during uh, um, meiosis. Again, I don't know if I'm
Okay,
saying
but if
that
we're having,
correctly.
yeah, it's meiosis. But wait, hold
Mhm.
on, wait. So then, well, but the chromosomal wait, are you just talking about the exchange of chromosomal development? Are you just talking about when the fusion occurs?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Are you just talking about when the fusion occurs,
What do you mean
like
by the
during
fusion?
meiosis? Because
Uh-huh.
meiosis is the meiosis is a specific type of cell reproduction that's only done during reproduction.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're saying during meiosis this occurs, you're just talking about when the sperm and egg fuse, probably for the first time. There can be some kind of misfiring. That's what I'm getting from
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying. That's what it
Yes.
sounds like. Okay, great. So yeah, that's just yeah. I don't think that's a problem for my position then,
Oh,
because
y-
then you're just describing something that didn't line up correctly during the initial fusion.
yes, but it has to function.
Of course, well the misalign like the during meiosis, if things don't line up, that can cause a cascade of things. So if you're just saying that, you know, you had what'd you call that process when the SRY gene gets on? Sorry, can you say that process again? I don't remember what you
Uh,
called it.
Swire.
Translocation.
Translocation. That was
Oh
it.
yeah.
So if you're just saying translocation, that it just moved or imprinted on something else, right? Well, then that's just a result of the misalignment during the initial fusing process. Because if this only happens during meiosis, meiosis is specific to cell reproduction only through the reproductive process. So, you know, this it sounds like if the initial fusion doesn't go correctly, then you can have that quote unquote translocation or that abnormality or that mislocation or that thing happen just because they didn't line up or fuse correctly. So, I mean, I don't think that's a problem with my view. You're just describing that the initial fusion process didn't go really well.
Well, the only reason why I have a point of contention with this is because you can have a SRY negative XX within testicular DSD cases. And what happens is that the SRY gene is present, but it's not functional. But the only way that that person became male is because there was a SOX9 gene duplication, or there was other pathway activations that can produce testicular development without the SRY
Okay.
gene. So,
Okay. Okay. So let me ask some questions on that. Okay. So SRY gene is present. It's non-functional, and so
mhm.
you're saying it relies completely on the SOX9. How do they know it's male? Just purely because of the SOX9?
No, I said that it was based off of SOX9 duplication and that there was other pathways that were activated to reproduce, I'm sorry, to produce that testicular development without the SRY gene. So the
Okay. So
SRY
then
gene is not,
it's not present or it is present? You
it
said.
is present but not functional. So there you have to separate yourself from present and function.
Okay. Okay. So it's present, non-functioning. So it's down-regulated then, or just the
Yeah,
regulation didn't? Okay. So
the
okay.
regulation never
Great.
occurred. So think about it like Swyer syndrome, right? You
Yeah.
understand that Swyer syndrome affects females, but people with Swyer syndrome do have a present SRY gene, but it's not activated. It's not functional, right?
Right. Well,
Right.
so that's why okay, but that's why I specify a functioning SRY gene. But if you're saying that the SOX9 duplication is enough to classify someone as male, well then I'm wondering how do they know it's male? Because if the SRY gene is there, but they're saying it's non-functional,
Yeah.
you,
I would just say to look up SRY negative XX male. So what happens is that the SRY gene is completely absent. It's not functional, but there are other genes that activate that male pathway. Like I said, the
okay, wait,
SOX9 gene.
I thought you said it was present. Didn't you say it was present?
Oops.
What was that?
Oh, sorry. What did you ask me?
I said I thought you said it was present.
Oh, I think I misspoke. It is not present. It's completely deleted. It's like not there.
Okay, so then that would make them. What
Wait,
was that
hold on.
noise? What the hell is that
Christian.
noise? Somebody
Christian.
snoring?
Christian.
Hold on.
I think the conversation put them to sleep.
Christian, what is your age and what is your thoughts on the prompt? Okay.
Do we have a mod in here?
Yeah.
I'll mute Freakion.
John
I
and
just muted
Vision are
him.
All
both
right. So
mods.
then,
Wait,
so
hold on.
non-present SO.
Hold on. The real Ainsley, what's your age and your thoughts on the prompt?
41, false.
Okay.
Yeah. So non-present or non-functioning SRY gene, and then essentially SOX9 duplication. You're saying then they're classified as male.
Yes, through the SOX9 duplication that is upregulated, there's going to be the RSPO1 and the WNT4 pathway are going to be disputions, and then there's going to be the testes
So
that
then,
are.
so then it would just simply be the SRY and the SOX9 then.
No, the SRY gene is absent.
I know.
That's what
What
I'm
I'm
telling
saying
you.
is this. No, what I'm saying it would just be one or both.
Wait, what? I'm sorry.
I'm just saying it would just be one or both in order to be male or female.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that the SRY gene is not going to be a necessary or sufficient condition.
There is
Because there
no
can.
necessary and sufficient condition for sexing a human being.
I'm sorry,
It doesn't
what?
exist. There is no necessary and sufficient condition for sexing a human being. It doesn't exist.
We're
Yeah,
trying to get there right now.
that's why I'm basing it off of essence. That's why I don't think I don't work under a cluster conceptual trait. So that's why I'm trying to help Tony out. But
What is an
that's
essence?
that's going to be between Bob and Tony. Well, I don't want to derail the
Right.
conversation. This is going
Right.
to be
Well,
between.
yeah. So I would just say, like again, yeah. I would just say that those are the functions. So that's what the genes are meant to do. So they're meant to initiate the pathway. And I would just say that anything that doesn't initiate or do the pathway, that would just be a malformation or a malfunction, which I don't think is a problem from my view.
Well, are you saying that it's a necessary condition or a sufficient condition? The
Well,
SRY
I
gene.
could say I could just say that it's necessary, and I would just say that it would just be a conjunct or disjunct.
A conjunct or a disjunct? So you're just saying it's a disjunct.
I'm just
And
saying that it
it's a
could be.
disjunction between what?
I'm saying it could be both or one.
Yeah, the disjunction is inclusive, so that doesn't mean anything.
Well, I mean, they
We
could
only
both
have
be
two choices. It could
activated,
be
or
the
one
other,
could be
or-
activated.
Are
They
you
could be
saying?
both activated, or one can be activated. One can be
Yeah,
activated.
that's just the disjunction is true whenever at least one the disjuncts are true. So you don't have to say conjunct or disjunct.
Well, the reason I say conjunct
it
is
would be
because
John.
they could be both.
Yeah, the disjunction's true when both. If you have P or Q, that's true when both P and Q are true. So you don't have to add the. It's redundant to add the and. Because the
What are you doing
well, I
today,
guess it's
Bob?
just.
Well, that's being a little bit nitpicky. Whatever. So, if it's a disjunction, then what you're saying is that neither the genes themselves are necessary nor sufficient. You're saying that the disjunction is the thing that's necessary, and the disjunction is just like a product of like logic and language, not of like a fact of the individual.
No, when I'm saying disjunction, I'm saying that I'm talking about the state of being. Either it's going to be both of the genes activated, or it's only going to be one.
Yeah, so the genes themselves aren't the thing that's doing work. It's whether or not the disjunction is fulfilled, and that like how
So
the
then what are
disjunction
the
works
genes
is
doing?
just to say that neither are necessary.
So what are the genes doing then?
The genes are doing something, which is not what I'm contending with. I'm saying that it's saying that what's necessary is a disjunction. Given how the disjunction is like true or false, you're not saying that either are necessary individually.
Well, hold on. The either is necessary.
Individually.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would say that individually. So you're saying that they're not necessary because neither one particular is necessary individually?
Yeah, it could be the case that one is false and the other true. Therefore, the disjunction is true, satisfying like the rule, the sorting rule that you're like proposing. But the other one could also be false. So individually, neither of the genes are like necessary in of themselves. You're saying that in order to be a male, you have to fulfill this sorting role, which isn't a gene. It's just like Tony said this.
Yeah, that's just something can't be true of the world because logic, right? That's not logic doesn't make anything true. Semantics doesn't make anything true.
Right. So I would say not necessarily, because again, the function of if everything has a function, then it has a purpose. And if something that doesn't fulfill its purpose doesn't mean that it's not the only thing that can aid in that purpose. So I mean, that's just really
Purpose is going to be like
that's just how I would look at it.
Purpose is going to be agent specific.
We're not talking about agent specific. What do you mean?
Yeah, so like when you say that something has a purpose, right? Like that's going to be agent specific, right? It's not going to be something that's like true of a thing.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Again, that's how we get telos.
Yeah.
So I can say that something does have a function or purpose, virtue of what that thing is, or virtue of its telos. So I can do that.
You could say it has a function, but like adding a purpose to it is only going to be true with respect to like if there's an agent in consideration.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, right?
Ainsley, did you just say that logic doesn't bring truth to the world? Is that what you said?
Logic does not bring truth to the world. That's correct. Logic is just a set of rules that we use to govern communication. It doesn't make anything true.
How do we know what's valid and valid without applying logic to it?
Yeah, that's just to assume that like logic comes before facts, right? Logic again is just a set of rules.
How do we determine
right?
You're just saying it acts as a processing tool. Then that's all.
It's not something that dictates that there is a fact of the matter. Logic is what dictates whether or not an agent can like successfully, seemingly communicate an idea.
But what other tool?
That's not true.
What other tool would you use to evaluate validity besides logic?
Well, I don't have any other option.
Validity doesn't speak on whether something is true or not. You can have a valid argument with all false premises. You can have an invalid argument with all true premises.
If it is the case that the Earth is flat, then the moon is made of green cheese.
No, it depends on what you mean by
green cheese. Therefore, the Earth is flat. This is valid.
Yeah, no, it depends on what you mean by true. By true, do you mean factual?
Factual, yes. How do you determine a fact?
Yeah. So when I say
fact is a true proposition.
When I say true with respect to like a proposition, right? It's just whether or not the proposition is going to be concluded in some positive manner, right?
And it has to be tested against logic, right?
No, it has to be
positive. Meaning what?
Logic is just like again like the system that we use to communicate. So as Bob just pointed out, like if I say,
does logic exist independent of you?
Mm-hmm.
Logic
doesn't make any sense.
Logic is agent dependent, right? It's not there. There's nothing true of the universe that dictates that logic exists. Logic seems to be an emergent property of agents.
Okay, let me ask you something. Okay, great. Let's go back to.
Am I breaking up or is he breaking up?
I think he's breaking up.
Okay. His logic gate isn't working right. Like so, the universe doesn't operate with like gates, right? Like
Ainsley broke Tony's reality.
So there's a lot of people that want to like infer that like the deductive validity of logic.
Test. Can you guys hear me now? Hello.
You got bars, Tony.
Test. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, the screen says you got bars, but like there's nothing true of the universe that indicates like logic, right? Logic is something that we apply to the universe.
All right, can you hear me now?
Posterior of our existence, right? It's something that comes about as an agent becomes an agent. Yes, I can hear you. So it's something that comes about secondary to an agent engaging in analysis, it's not present prior to the agent becoming and then engaging in the analysis. The
No,
universe itself is
that's not
not
true.
created via
From
logic. It's not something
That's
that
not true.
that was going to be some
exists.
form of like nihilism.
This again, you're just going into like again. So, I'll show you how logic can exist independent of you or independent of the agent, right? So, is it true that you exist some way somehow, whether we're
You're
brains in a vat?
already you're already
Yes or no?
presupposing, so you're already begging the question when you say, is it true that in order to prove that logic is somehow this thing, right? So it's begging the question.
No, how
Right.
so? No, that's not begging the
Because
question.
you're saying, is it
No.
true? And the only way that I can contend with truth is with respect to the conclusion of a proposition, either in the affirmative, right? So if I conclude a proposition in the affirmative, then we have truth, right? But the conclusion of the proposition is going to be based off of the things in consideration, not based off of the system.
Again, no. Like so, again, the whole point of the question, right, is to reveal that even if you can't show that anything else exists around you, right, and you can't know that for certain, is there any certainty whatsoever? Do you know anything?
Right, so with respect to like strong solipsism, right, I would just say that Descartes, Meditation 6, explores the option in enough validity. The Cartesian demon is
Okay.
dealt with.
And
Hold on, I'm not done.
How do they find that validity?
Hold on, I like literally wasn't done. Like there were still words coming out of my mouth, right?
Yeah, but
You
you're
just
not
talked for a long
answering.
time. You just
You're
talked for a
not
long time.
answering anything. You're not answering anything.
The Cartesian demon is dealt with by Wittgenstein's family resemblance, and I think that that's all we need to know. It could be the
Okay,
case.
and how does the Cartesian demon dealt with specifically?
Yeah, how's it
Yeah,
dealt with?
because we have no capacity to engage with anything outside of our reference. So even if it is the case that there is some like if we like insert some like modal language, even if it is the case that that it is possible in some world that we are just Minecraft all the way down, right? We have no capacity to reference that from our point of view. So, with respect to the conclusion being affirmed or disaffirmed, the question itself is an error because it requires access to the world in a manner in which we do not have access. So it's it basically produces a syntactic error, right? We can't even consider the question.
No.
That's just a long.
It requires the acknowledgement of transcendentals, right?
That's
And
a long.
I don't acknowledge the existence of transcendentals. I have no reason to.
Okay. 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 Then what do you think logic is?
That's a really
Again,
long-winded.
logic
That's a really
is just
long-winded say of saying epistemic
Okay.
nihilism.
So then you're just closed off in your own world right now. You
Yeah,
don't even know if you're
exactly.
talking to us right now. Then.
yeah.
There's no objective.
So
There's no
So then why
objective
are you
reality.
here?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
why
I
are we
got
even arguing
like
anything?
3 people
You,
talking to me now.
No, because you talk for a long
you're just
time.
locked in your own world. Why are you here right now? Are you
Yeah.
here right now?
Nothing
Yeah,
exists in
it's
the
like
universe.
an
We get it.
uninteresting question. This is just an
Do
uninteresting
you know you're
question.
trans? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I don't
Like,
even
we
know.
get
I
it.
don't even know how I
Like,
would
we get
I
it.
don't
We
even
get
know
it.
how I would
Ainsley,
frame the question.
nothing exists. We get it. Yeah, we get it.
Ainsley,
So
you're essentially just cornered
I
yourself now. You've essentially
no one's
said that with
cornered.
the Cartesian
This is
demon is dealt with
Hmm.
by
Yeah.
something that we
Why
can't
are you
really
here?
use or prove because
Yep.
we don't even know if we can go outside of our own world right now. I don't know if I'm here
Bob, I
right now
think
to
I've
make the
triggered
argument.
them. Bob,
Nothing exists.
I think I've sufficiently triggered them to
No,
the
you
point
just
where
keep
they're
talking and not answering
No,
Bob.
anything.
you're ridiculously boring. Like, we get it. Nothing exists.
Yes,
We get
Deso.
it.
I understand
This
that I'm
conversation is
boring.
getting like
I'm
Okay,
We
not
get
here all
it,
great,
day.
bro. We get it.
great.
can y'all
Bob,
just let Ainsley
I've
speak?
triggered them.
We're not triggered. You're boring, dude. We get it. Nothing
Yeah,
exists in the universe. We get it.
you
No,
haven't.
that's
Hold
We
on a
get in a
second.
actually
Hold on a
radical
not
second.
the case.
skepticism.
I believe in an external reality, right? I reject strong solipsism. It's an interesting philosophical thought that I think that probably every great thinker has thought about and just rejected because there is no motivation by which we ought to accept strong solipsism. I'm not even sure there's a motivation to accept weak solipsism. But again, if we want to have a response as to how we should deal with it, right? Well, the fact that we can only imagine with respect to the way our machinations was plenty of response.
What question
Again,
are you? What
no,
are you even answering? What question are you even answering?
Deso, hold on. So
Yes, I do,
Ainsley,
Loro.
again, which is why I posited the query or as something you could just ponder within yourself, whether you acknowledge someone is speaking to you right now or not. The query or the ponderance can happen within you, right? And
Yes.
by right,
All
so if you,
queries happen internally.
great. So if you can posit the query within you, right, and you can basically, I guess, grasp that there's a sequence happening within you, meaning the thought or thoughts or thought pattern, right? Well, then you already have the basis for induction or deduction just right there. So logic is within you. Now, given that you don't rely, given that logic is independent of you, meaning it's there whether.
I saw.
There's no spots.
Emily just said, yeah.
There's no spots.
She towed somebody from the back.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
I think you're unmuted.
Okay. I guess it's not paying attention. I guess it's not.
Oh no, I heard
Well,
every word that you said. I can.
Ainsley,
do
I have a
multiple
question for
things
you
at
really quick.
once. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you believe in objective reality, that there are absolute yes and no answers to questions?
If you're asking me if like universals exist, generally speaking, I think that the only place that a universal would exist is analytically. I don't think that there would be any like synthetic universals, so I would hold to some like kind of like standard nominalism with respect to those things. But I do accept that the external world exists, that I can
That's not what I was asking you.
things like that.
So you would hold that
That's not what I was asking you. I was asking you
objective.
if you're able to answer a question with a yes or a no,
Yes,
or if you're going to say there's no objective reality.
Well, those two questions are different, by the way.
Would you have changed your opinion? Because
you can.
when I typically hold on, typically when I get in the same room as you, you tend to leave when I get up on the panel.
I have no
because
idea
a couple months ago you said, yeah, I know you don't because I've changed my name. But a couple months ago you said that it's not objectively wrong for an adult to be in an intimate relationship with a child. So I'm just wondering if you would change your opinion.
Morals don't exist, buddy. So to make an objective statement based off of a non-existent thing,
So morals,
would be just like
so it's not objectively wrong for an adult to be in an intimate relationship with a child.
You can't have something true of the world if the thing that you are predicating those truth factors
So,
on.
host, this is why I told you that you were platforming a PDF.
Can you start with a yes or no?
I don't know if you want to.
That doesn't make
have
me
him up
anything.
here.
Sir.
No,
That just
Ainsley.
makes me
Ainsley, can you start with the yes or no and then expound?
Yes. Yeah. So, in order to make prescriptions on things being right or wrong, since there is no
can you start with the yes or
moral-
no to the question and then expound?
Since there is no way to determine access to those things, we have to use normativity, right? So we have
yes
to
or a no.
stipulate a certain thing and then just determine the outcomes based off of the stipulation. So, for instance, my stipulations.
No, it's a real easy question.
Yeah, my
to say that
stipulations.
it's wrong for an adult to be in a relationship with a child.
My stipulations are based off of consent and contractualism. So
a child can't consent, you dumb fuck.
You just figured it out, right? Children can't consent. And because children can't consent through my normative framework, we would not allow.
Then you can say that it's objectively wrong for them to be in the relationship.
It is.
I don't know what you're dodging the question to try to justify what people want to do with kids.
You think you have like some kind of like gotcha here, but the only thing that shows is you've never considered meta ethics in any real capacity. Right?
Wait, actually,
there's no meta ethics when it comes to a child being in a sexual relationship.
I do have a question. Wait, hold on. I do have a question. When you say like is it objectively wrong? Are you simply saying is this stance independently wrong? Is that what you're saying?
I have no idea.
No, I'm asking within. Or the guy below me.
You're asking me?
Yeah. Are you trying to make the claim that there are such things as stance independent like moral truths?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm actually really curious. Do you have an argument for that case?
So are you going to say it's not wrong for an adult to be in a relationship with a child too?
Oh, well, yeah, I think it's wrong, right? But I don't think it stands independently wrong. I
Yeah,
think it's
so
contingent on
that's
the facts.
there's no gray zone in that statement.
That's hold on. Do you understand that I didn't create a gray zone? I think in all cases
I
it's
know
wrong.
I didn't
just don't
say
think
that you
it's-
did.
Just
I
oh
thought you
wait,
did.
can I just respond? Can I respond? Thank you. I just don't think it stands independently wrong, right? So you're trying to say it is stands independently wrong, and then you're trying to make an inference there that's saying if someone says no, it isn't stands independently wrong, they're a P3 radio. That inference obviously doesn't like that. The inference obviously just isn't true.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so I get that when I say morals don't exist, people get fucking triggered because, again, they've never picked up a metaethics book.
Like, wait,
right?
like,
But with
wait, can I ask another question? If sorry,
go
Ainsley,
ahead.
I'm just really curious.
No,
Look,
go
the guy
ahead.
below me, let's just say hypothetically speaking, like I'm gonna like presuppose God exists, right? God comes to you and says, "Yo, you know that moral stuff? That's all fake. It doesn't exist. I never created that." Then do you think like then are you gonna be like, well, I might as well do all these evil actions since moral don't exist?
That's not how that would work. We still know right from wrong without relying on God to tell us.
Wait. You're trying to say that morals are the type of things to be stance independently true. That means they have to exist in a way where it's stance dependent. But God in this case is telling us that it isn't stance dependent. He's basically telling you objective morality doesn't exist. Are you going to do those disgusting actions? That's a yes or no question.
No.
Okay, yeah, the question is going to be no. So just because someone believes that morality doesn't exist, or morality is subjective, right? That doesn't lead to all this individuals a P3 nor their thinking is a P3.
No, it does. If you can't have a conversation about this and say that it is wrong for an adult to get in bed with a child, there's something fucked up in your head.
It is wrong.
I know. I'm not talking about you. You said it. You said it was wrong. Ainsley is the one who won't say it's wrong.
Conversation has gone so
I didn't
way
come
off
up here to
topic.
talk to you about it.
What I said specifically, and what I've said every time that somebody's asked me this question is that morals don't exist. That's what I've said, right? Now, what you do is you ignore the fact that I immediately then pivot to normative stances, right? I immediately explain what contractualism is and consent, right? And based off of your own understanding, right, you're correct. Children can't consent to those things.
Children can consent.
This whole thing
but you can say that it's wrong.
In my worldview, the proposition... Right, in my worldview, based off of my stipulations.
Are we talking about trans women still?
Yeah, what are you
we
guys
got off
talking
of trans women a long time ago. These guys are trying to basically foister us an intro to philosophy class that they fell asleep in. And
I came up to debate trans women, sorry.
Oh, okay. So anyway, because I have given a stipulation, on the normative reference, right, we can then render whether things ought be allowed or ought not be allowed. So based off of the stipulations that I've provided, we can understand that no one ought be allowed to engage in those behaviors. And what you would use is a colloquial reference to the word wrong there, right? So when you come up and you think that you've got some gotcha where it's oh my God, Ainsley's a horrible person. No, Ainsley's just read books. So Ainsley
You're low
knows
tier,
that
we get it. Anyways.
There's no way that you would ever have access to any mind-independent or stance-independent fact about the universe that would lead you to be able to create some moral proposition as true.
Wait, I have a question, Ainsley, if I could ask. Do you think the numerical value of money exists? I mean, obviously the answer is yes, right?
So you're non-cognitivist?
I think numbers exist.
Yeah, okay, so then presumably then, morals are also going to be the type of thing where it's going to, where it does exist, just not in an objective way, or not in, in a way where we can feasibly touch it or, see it or something, right?
when I have conversations about moral propositions, I'm just like a standard Machian, right? So I allow for the idea that it's possible that, some fact of the world is giving us, some action guidedness. But what I reject is the fact that we have any capacity to ascertain it, right? So I don't think that numbers...
Sorry,
just real quick, I don't think that numbers carry, action guidedness in them, right? I think that what a moral property is, which is
Do you think social norms exist?
Yeah, I think they exist as abstractions.
Yeah, well, hold on. So then, presumably, because I don't find that much of a distinction between both of those things and morals. So presumably, morals are the type of thing that exists just in a social sense, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I think what people think morals are exists in a social sense. I mean, like I operate as a fictionalist, right? But like when somebody like says, "Well, how do you render something?" I just give them like again like my framework on how I do determine things being right or wrong, and that's going to be on some social norm or something that I've just seemingly been motivated to accept for whatever reason. But I don't think that there's anything that's true about atoms and neutrons that is telling me something independent of myself or independent of anybody else that I ought not pay in some given way.
Wait, Ainsley, that's just like trivially true. I do understand the factor in the same way. The numerical value of money or any form of money, like there is no like physical factor or objective factor that's telling us, but we still do say these things exist, right? Like the numerical value of money still exists. It's just not in a way where it's objectively true. Like saying morals don't exist just seems like you.
But the
Like,
thing,
I don't know what you say when you say don't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So
then
the
also,
thing,
I'm
the
curious on what you mean
issue.
by abstractions. So does that mean
Yeah.
there are concretes in your worldview as
Yeah.
well?
So that kawaii to me is to just like incorrectly understand what I think most people mean when they talk about morals, because I don't think most people mean when they say like this is right or wrong. I don't think that they're saying, just based off of like some like social norm, right? I don't think that's what they think. I think
Are
when
you a
most people say
non-cognitivist,
that
Ainsley?
this is
I
right or
feel like
wrong,
there's
I
a
think what they
moral that we
mean
all. I feel like
is that there
morals
is some like divine command theory or some god or something that is true about the universe that does
Okay,
have
well,
the
Right.
yeah,
action
hold on. Let's
Divine,
guidedness.
understand. Wait,
So
I'm not. Oh, wait,
Ainsley,
hold on. This isn't
divine
I
like
take it.
command theory.
just so the way I'm just gonna
Ainsley,
respond and
Ainsley,
then I'll mute up right after. Look,
yeah.
Ainsley, I'm not asking that question based off how most people use it. This is not like a semantical conversation, right? I'm simply asking, does this said thing exist, right? Using your semantics. Now, if you say it doesn't exist, well, it just seems like you're gonna also have to say that no rules aren't the type of things to exist. The law doesn't exist, nor do the numerical value of money exists. I'm not asking you based on how most people commonly use the word. There's a distinction between both of those things.
I would offer that there's a strict distinction between the moral property and the properties of everything else, because we're asking a moral property to do something that we don't ask any other property to do. So
Okay,
I wouldn't
could you
accept that.
list out the distinction?
Yeah, the distinction is going to be the containing of the action guidedness.
Guidingness? What do you mean when you say action guidingness? Like,
Yeah,
what's
so
your semantics in that case?
Yeah, so action guidedness is going to be something that is purported to exist within some kind of property that, independent of stances or minds, is going to be informing some agent how they ought or ought not act in any given situation.
Action guidedness is like it's inherently mind like or stance dependent or mind dependent, whatever you want to say. It's inherently doing that. Right? Like they give you reasons to do said actions, but you have to rationalize those reasons. Like you do understand that factor, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
He's using Chat GPT
action guiding
and it
us.
didn't pick you up.
Nobody's using Chat GPT.
Okay, action guidance are just by definition of what action guidance is, or I guess how most people use it, or I guess how I'm using it specifically. It is inherently mind dependent because you need A, rationalize the action and why you're doing this action.
No, that's
B, you create
yeah,
those
that's
actions.
not how. Yeah, so no, that's not what. Like again, like that's just to kind of like ignore the whole purpose behind what the error theorist is saying.
The error theorist just wants to say, look, either there's an error in why we do said actions, or there's like a metaphysical error on saying that one if there was objective morality, by a lot like naturally will all fall within that thing. That's what the error theory wants to say. But I disagree with both of those things. I don't think if there is just I don't think just wait. I don't think if there is like this let's just say like objective morality exists. I don't think that's I don't think that's going to make us all naturally like good people, right? So we can see this with like other things that are objectively true, like cancer and the rest of the stuff. But also, I don't think there is like an error in the way we rationalize why we do actions. In some cases, but not in all cases.
I mean, that's fine, right? Like, so when I give some proposition like X action is wrong, like X is wrong in some situation, it's wrong to punch a baby, right? Most people that I talk to are telling me are trying to say something from their view, they're saying it's not just that the action is wrong, right? It's that there is something intrinsic about the world whereby we can understand that the action is wrong. And I just completely disagree with that. So in any given moral proposition, like X is wrong, that's just going to be false to me, right? And because it's false, but I also understand that there are things that I shouldn't do, or at least seemingly that I shouldn't do. I'm then going to ask myself, well, what are those things that give me those motivations? And the things that give me all those motivations are either going to be some kind of like biological disposition or some social norm. But none of those are going to render the primary proposition as
I don't
think true.
Ainsley, so
Okay,
what
go
is
ahead,
the
Deso, then-
what would be the what would be the you said wrong, right? So what would be the basis of your moral epistemology? Is it like religious, secular, or like just following the law? Like where do you how do you determine right and wrong?
Yeah, I just determine it based off of the frameworks that I stipulate as
So it's
like again,
preference-based?
like contractualism. Yeah, I mean preference, sure, but like like preference seems to be like an idea that I could change it tomorrow, right? It's not like a preference for green beans or something like that. I do think that there is some deeper acceptance of something, but it's not going to be outside of just something that motivates me, and that's going to be just based off of my understanding of the contracts that I've accepted.
You
can I ask
don't
one last
believe that
question,
preference.
then-
You don't believe that preference-based morality, like individuals, could potentially be problematic.
I mean,
what you're saying is whatever you
all
feel
of
is
the
right or wrong.
all the
Real
systems,
fast.
all of the systems that I have access to have problems. It's just that I try to find the ones that have the least amount of problems, and that seems to be some kind of, just egalitarian view that seems to produce the least amount of like issues between agents.
Wait,
Egalitarian, so
Deso,
all
how
things
would like
being equal.
preference? Wait, how would like preference or something morality like cause problems? Like,
Because it's not really,
Yeah, well,
it's not grounded in anything.
Well,
I don't.
so
Okay, when you say
if I
grounded, what do you
had
mean?
Like
for instance, if
Wait, Ainsley,
somebody
I asked Deso
had a
question
preference
first.
to not be punched, and somebody had a preference to punch somebody, and we
Mhm.
said that moral systems are just, based off of preference, well, we would have somebody that wants to punch people thinking that it's the right thing to do, and we would have somebody being punched that doesn't want to be punched that thinks that it's the wrong thing to do, and there's really going to be it's going to be difficult to determine which one we should use. It's the same reason that I reject like any kind of like God-based morality, because that's just going to be arbitrarily pushing
Wait, I'll answer that
the
question.
justification one thing.
Wait, hold on, I'll answer that question after Deso answers my
No,
question
it's
about
not.
when he says, just wait, Deso. When you say like it doesn't ground, I like let's get into like the meta of things. Like when you say grounding, what do you mean?
Well, there would be no like type of unifying type of code of morality that individuals would follow. It just varies from
Does
person
there have to
person.
be a unifying code of morality that individuals
I'm
have
not
to
saying
follow?
that. I'm not saying necessarily has to be, but what I'm saying, like when we have widely different moral values, I'm saying that could be problematic. Like if one
Well, I
person
mean,
feels like vastly different than others about things, that could potentially be problematic, which
yeah.
is why we
Well,
have
yeah.
laws.
That's why.
According to, I think according to Ainsley, it would just be either contractual or social in some sense, because Ainsley doesn't believe in you're not a moral, you're a non-cognitivist, right, Ainsley?
No, I think that we're attempting to get at something. Like, I think that you can render a moral proposition true or false. It's just that they're all going to render false.
Look, I just think most moral propositions, right? If you strip them down to its basic like core principle, there are going to be some cases where you have to lead into preferences or aesthetics desires or aesthetics dislikes. Like in the cases of like
denying that.
Not as Christians.
No. Okay, so as like this again, so I kind of disagree. So if we take, let's say, like a more realist account, to where we just assert that the moral values are going to inform us of the moral facts in any given transaction, and the moral facts themselves will be a stipulation of whether it is a moral transaction or immoral transaction, and then there's a further discussion to be had about permissibility versus impermissibility of, let's say, somebody does something wrong.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's how a realist would look at it, and I think that's the most intuitive view, because we operate this way every day. Like, let's say going to the grocery store, right? You go to the grocery store.
How you doing today? I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. You look like absolutely.
What is happening? What is this?
That's weird. That's
We
weird.
just witnessed validation.
So,
Dude.
can we mute? I
What's up
guess
with
they're not paying
I
attention.
don't know. Trying to catch up to you.
Yeah.
John, can you
Look down
mute them,
here.
please?
I don't have those
I
mod
guess-
powers.
Who's got the mod powers?
I have no idea.
Oh, crap.
Hello, how are you?
Host, are you there?
I don't want to hear whatever Ainsley.
Alright.
Host, are you there? Oh my goodness. Host! Crap.
Oh God, no, that would be horrible, wouldn't it?
All right, Tony, John, I'll catch you guys later.
Deuces.
Alright, see ya, Deso. Dang it, this is
Peace, brothers.
wildly annoying.
We don't need to
See ya.
like a special since we saw with the swordfish, right? Yeah, you're good.
Host!
Alright.
Host!
Sup, dude?
I don't think Ainsley's paying attention.
Nope.
Do you have my question?
Crap.
First espresso, 2 hours. It'll be like a 3-shot night, I think. What are we gonna do? 95 tonight?
Yeah, 75.
75. It's like break 100 minutes Saturday.